The air was still.
The sky was the color of a very pale grey stone, worn smooth by the endless turning of the seasons.
The temperature was a comfortable, gentle warmth, like sunlight filtered through a lace curtain.
It felt like a soft wool blanket against the skin, a perfectly measured warmth that settled deep and quietly. The atmospheric pressure was steady, a calm, reassuring weight, and the air held a low, humid stillness, not damp, but full of the promise of moisture. There wasn't a breath of wind, not even a whisper, just a profound quiet, and in a small valley, nestled between hills that rose gently to meet the sky, lived a creature who spent her days in a remarkably simple way. She was a goat, a creature of gentle habit and quiet contemplation. Her coat was the color of milk, soft and creamy, and her horns, though present, seemed to curve with a deliberate grace, as if she were carefully shaping them with her thoughts.
She moved with a slow, deliberate rhythm, each step measured and considered.
She began her day, as all things should, with a small patch of dew-covered grass.
The dew clung to the blades, tiny droplets reflecting the pale light, and she approached it with a measured calm.
She lowered her head, and with a slow, deliberate nibble began to graze. It was not a frantic, hurried eating, but a sustained, thoughtful process.
She chewed slowly, savoring the taste, and occasionally lifted her head to watch the sky, to simply be with a quiet. It was a moment of pure, uncomplicated pleasure. The sun, though hidden behind the grey sky, cast a diffused glow, warming the valley floor. She continued to graze for a long time, perhaps an hour, perhaps longer. There was no need to hurry. There was no destination, only the steady rhythm of eating, of breathing, of being present in the moment. A small bumblebee, fat and drowsy, buzzed lazily nearby, occasionally landing on a particularly fragrant blossom. The goat watched it, unconcerned, and continued her grazing. After a while, she moved to another patch of grass, slightly different in texture and scent. Again, she approached it with the same calm consideration.
She examined the grass carefully, sensing its qualities, the softness, the moisture, the subtle fragrance.
She nibbled slowly, deliberately, appreciating the simple act of feeding. The world around her was peaceful.
A robin, perched on a branch of a willow tree that wept gently towards the valley floor, sang a single, quiet note, and then fell silent, observing her in turn. As the hours drifted by, she moved to a mossy bank beneath a large, ancient oak. The moss was cool and velvety to the touch, and she settled down to rest for a while, leaning against the trunk of the tree. She closed her eyes, and her breathing deepened, becoming slow and regular. The sound of her breathing was the only sound in the valley, a gentle, rhythmic sigh that blended seamlessly with the quiet of the air. She remained there for what felt like a long time, perhaps half an hour, perhaps longer.
She simply rested, allowing her muscles to relax, her mind to quiet.
She didn't try to think, didn't try to solve any problems, didn't try to remember anything.
She just was asterisk. She was a creature of stillness, perfectly content in her own quiet presence.
When she finally rose, she moved to a small stream that trickled through the valley. The water was clear and cool, and she lowered her head to drink. She drank slowly, savoring the taste, feeling the coolness spread through her body. The stream murmured softly as it flowed, a gentle, soothing sound that blended with the quiet of the valley. She spent some time by the stream, watching the water flow, feeling the cool spray on her face. She observed the pebbles beneath the surface, their shapes and colors, and the tiny creatures that darted amongst them. There was nothing to fear, nothing to rush towards, only the quiet beauty of the moment. As the day wore on, she moved to a field of wild flowers, a riot of color, pale blues, soft pinks, and creamy whites. She gently nibbled on the flowers, choosing those that were particularly fragrant and appealing. She didn't eat them with any haste, but with a quiet appreciation for their delicate beauty. A butterfly, with wings patterned like stained glass, fluttered around her head, pausing occasionally to observe her with its bright, multifaceted eyes. She continued to move slowly, deliberately, from one place to another, always with a sense of calm and contentment.
She explored the valley with a gentle curiosity, but without any urgency.
She examined the trees, the rocks, the flowers, the stream, simply taking in their qualities with her senses. As the afternoon deepened, she found a sheltered spot beneath a large spreading bush.
She settled down for another rest, leaning against the branches and closing her eyes.
She dreamt, perhaps, of meadows filled with wild flowers, of clear streams and gentle breezes, of a life lived in quiet harmony with the natural world. When she awoke, she moved to a small, secluded grove of trees. The air was filled with the scent of pine and damp earth, and the light filtering through the branches was dappled and golden. She sat down beneath a particularly ancient tree, its roots spreading out across the ground like the fingers of a giant.
She remained there for a long time, simply observing the world around her.
She watched the clouds drift across the sky, the birds fly overhead, the insects crawl among the leaves. She felt a deep sense of connection to the natural world, a feeling of belonging and peace. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the valley, she moved to a high point overlooking the valley.
She stood there for a long time, gazing out at the landscape, taking in the beauty of the evening light.
The colors of the sky deepened, shades of violet, rose, and gray, and the air grew cooler and more still. She felt a sense of gratitude for the simple pleasures of her life, for the beauty of the world around her, for the quiet contentment that filled her heart. She knew that there was nothing she needed to achieve, nothing she needed to worry about. She was exactly where she was supposed to be.
Finally, she moved to a quiet corner of the valley, a place where she could feel completely safe and secure. She settled down for the night, finding a comfortable spot beneath a large rock.
She closed her eyes, and her breathing deepened, becoming slow and regular. She was surrounded by the quiet beauty of the natural world, and she felt a deep sense of peace.
The air was still.
The sky was the color of a very pale gray stone, worn smooth by the endless turning of the seasons.
The temperature was a comfortable, gentle warmth, like sunlight filtered through a lace curtain.
It felt like a soft wool blanket against the skin, a perfectly measured warmth that settled deep and quietly. The atmospheric pressure was steady, a calm, reassuring weight, and the air held a low, humid stillness, not damp, but full of the promise of moisture. There wasn't a breath of wind, not even a whisper, just a profound quiet. And in a small valley, nestled between hills that rose gently to meet the sky, lived a creature who spent her days in a remarkably simple way. She was a goat, a creature of gentle habit and quiet contemplation. Her coat was the color of milk, soft and creamy, and her horns, though present, seemed to curve with a deliberate grace, as if she were carefully shaping them with her thoughts.
She moved with a slow, deliberate rhythm, each step measured and considered.
This simple life, this quiet existence, held a gentle lesson for anyone who took the time to observe it.
It wasn't about striving or achieving or worrying about the future.
It was about being present in the moment, appreciating the simple pleasures of life, and finding contentment in the quiet beauty of the natural world. It was a reminder that sometimes the most valuable thing we can do is simply be asterisk. And as she drifted off to sleep, the goat continued to breathe slowly, steadily, her heart filled with a peaceful quiet, a quiet that mirrored the stillness of the valley itself. The air remained still. The gray stone sky lingered, a constant, reassuring presence.